I'd like to talk a bit about what I've learned from the science of reading. And I think I should probably start and just acknowledge that the name, the science of reading, has created some dissent. And rightly so, because researchers and other experts are pointing out that there really are many sciences of reading. There's the science of comprehension research, the science of morphology, the science of motivation. There's lots of sciences that go into reading. But although knowledgeable reading researchers are right to dispute the idea that there is one line of research that deserves the title, the science of reading, I kind of want to get past that dispute and just acknowledge that at this point, there is a line of research that's come to be known as the science of reading. It focuses mostly on phonics and phonological awareness, though not exclusively on that. So I want to be clear that although there's many things I've learned from the science of reading, I have not learned from them that phonics plays a big role in learning to read. I've always known, and K through teachers have always known, that phonics matters. I mean, little kids come to kindergarten, and the biggest expectation of anyone is that they're going to be learning their ABCs. So there is definitely nothing new about the idea that phonics matters. But it is also true that general education classroom teachers should want to learn from the science of reading studies. Those studies mostly focus on a very specific group of kids with a particular diagnosis. And those kids are in clinical or laboratory settings. They tend to not be involved with whole classrooms full of kids learning within a big whole curriculum. So it isn't immediately obvious how the science of reading research can best inform classroom teachers. It was about 5 or 6 years ago when my colleagues and I began to learn from science of reading researchers. At the time, we wanted to interact firsthand with science of reading researchers, so we teamed up with the researchers at the Child Mind Institute in New York, the brain scientists of New York. And we together went into classrooms and observed kids and then talked about what we saw. We brought our questions to them. We developed some tools and methods together and tried those out with kids. And always, as we were working with this team, we were asking, what might this research mean for a class full of 30 kids? To figure that out, we started doing what we always do, which is that we developed some like tentative ideas and methods, and then we would bring those ideas and methods to teachers, and we'd hear their thoughts and get their wisdom on those ideas. And then together we'd go to kids and we'd watch kids' responses and study results. Through that process, we came up with some pretty exciting ways to bring the science of reading research into classroom. First of all, the science of reading champions the use of decodable books that only contain words that a child at a certain level of phonics development can decode. Now, when we studied the kinds of decodable books that are predominantly available to kids, what we found is that although most of them have great phonics, they're really painfully tiresome to read, sort of like the rat sat on the mat. Or they make almost no sense, like this one. Jim jogs the lid off the vat. Huh? Jim jogs the lid off the vat? Huh? There's no research evidence to suggest that this kind of decodable text is good for kids. And the reason is that it is just so important that kids grow up knowing that reading is about making meaning, and that they learn to monitor for sense. So as they're reading and a sentence makes no sense to them, you want the kid to say, whoa, wait a minute, this has got to be wrong, and to go back and self-correct. So it's not at all helpful when the correct reading of a book is actually meaningless. But the thing that's been exciting for us is that my colleagues and I have found that it is possible to create texts with controlled phonics. So kids who are at a specific level of phonics development can decode almost all the words in the book. And that the books are also highly engaging and provocative. We've developed a series of carefully sequenced decodable books called the Jump Rope Readers. I should say they're actually multi-criterion books. And some of them are woven directly into our new reading units, but a lot of them are available for kids to just read out of the classroom library, to have in their book baggies as they're reading. And the real beauty of the Jump Rope Readers is while they're designed to help kids to decode with accuracy and independence, they also provide readers with these engaging storylines, and they feature quirky, true-to-life characters. I want you to watch some of these kids reading these books. First, you'll see a partnership of kids reading them, and then you'll go on to listen to Mario reading a book about camping. The dad in this book is trying to erect a tent, but he doesn't fit very well in the tent, so you'll see what happens.
The rat is in the can. The rat kicks the can. My favorite part, it passed. Where is it? Is this one because he looks so funny. The top is bent. It's bent right here.
Yeah.
And that is bent too. How?
How? How do you think he's bent?
Like,
Yeah. Totally, yeah. Okay.
his head is up here. He cannot fit in there.
Here you can watch Katie getting some of the kids going on one of these books.
I spy a letter that makes this sound. Are you ready? Sun. Sun. What letter is that?
S.
S. Okay, pencils up. I spy a letter that makes this sound. D, 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 dog. D, d, dog. Pop. Good job. Should we try another one? All right, let's try another one. Ready? Mad. Inside of our book, we're going to see some snap words that I think you know. Can we just make sure? What's that snap word? Can. What's this snap word? Like. What's this snap word? See. Go ahead, turn the page.
Stop the pigeon. Tick-tock at the pigeon.
Let me tell you how one particular unit has been revised. In Superpowers, the first decoding unit in kindergarten, a new imaginary character sends messages to the kids to rally them to use their reading powers to decode words. Mighty Reader gives the kids a special power called slider power, and the kids end up getting little stickums to put on their finger, and they slide their finger underneath a word as they decode it. Listen to this kindergarten teacher talking to a group of other teachers who also piloted the units about what Mighty Reader's notes meant to her kids.
I just have to tell you that yesterday we ended and I put the last final note from Mighty Reader, and I have this arch in my room and I taped it to the arch, and I don't know how one of my students is like, Mighty Reader left a note, another note, and he was so excited. And so I wasn't even planning on doing reading workshop at that moment, but I felt like I had to go with it.
Aww.
So I had him stand up on a chair, get the note down. I mean, I cannot tell you how excited they were.
Let's think also about assessment, because the insights from Science of Reading have certainly informed our work with assessment. The whole point of decodable text is that we want to be able to give the books to a child and to say, you can read this. You can use all your slider power to figure out all the words in this. Go to it. To be able to say that to a child, we need a way to assess the kid's command of phonics so we can match them with books that they can read. So we developed a super quick phonics decoding assessment that helps teachers to match kids to a particular set of decodable books. Each part of the phonic decoding assessment provides a set of real words and nonsense words that feature a particular phonics focus, for example, short vowels and CVC words. Or one might feature digraphs. And you see these assessments move progressively towards more challenging phonics principles. These are formative assessments, which means teachers use them to plan the kind of instruction that a child's ready for. And as you see, as children are moving up the levels, when you get to a level that the child can't read with 80% accuracy, you now have clarity as a teacher about what it is you need to teach that child individually, in a small group, or with the whole class. Meanwhile, of course, you can set the child up with decodable texts that offer all kinds of practice decoding words that contain phonics features the child is able to master. In thinking about the ways in which Science of Reading has influenced us, I want to also acknowledge that Science of Reading researchers focus not just on phonics and phonemic awareness, but also they acknowledge the importance that content knowledge plays in reading comprehension. So of course we drew on Recht and Leslie's baseball experiment. the results of which have been replicated many times, which shows that the presence of background knowledge on a topic really plays a dramatic role in whether readers can comprehend a text or not. If you're reading a text that says the player slid into home and you know something about baseball, that's going to mean a lot more to you than if you don't know anything about baseball. The ability to infer actually relies on a reader's ability to integrate their background knowledge with what they're learning from a text. So we've been really focused on supporting kids building and accessing their background knowledge and done it in lots of ways. First of all, when kids approach an unfamiliar text, we teach them that it's really important to think, what does this book seem like it's going to be mostly about? And then it's important for them to think, what do I already know about that topic? So let's just say that the book is mostly about mole rats, and the child pauses to think, what do I know about mole rats? Chances are pretty good a child might not know a lot about mole rats, so we've taught them that you can think, what do I know about the bigger subject here? What do I know about animals? So if a child is reading a book on mole rats and they think, what do I know about animals? Now they can approach that book expecting to learn about body parts and habitat and life cycle and predators and all of these things. So that accessing background knowledge actually really helps a child to be really ready to learn. It's also been important to us that the units give kids access to substantial texts, including multimodal ones, and that those texts are often in text sets, so a collection of 4 or 5 books on a particular topic. So a child's able to learn from one book and then carry what they learned from that book to the next book and to the next book. Each of the Let's Gather units spotlights 3 to 5 books or so that form a text set designed to deepen children's knowledge on all kinds of topics like oceans and coral reefs and insects and things like that. As you see, these books represent a wide range of cultures and perspectives and are written by a diverse group of authors, which is also important. So the takeaway is that I hope people in general get over being grumpy about the term, the science of reading, pertaining to just one line of research, and join us in learning from that one line of research. Yes, it's mostly research that's been done in reading clinics using fMRI machines, so it needs to be brought to life in general ed classrooms. It needs a lot of us to be thinking carefully about what does this mean for classes of 30 kids with very different challenges and problems. But that's what we do as educators. We take in new things, we learn, and then we take whatever we've invented to our kids and we watch carefully to see the results. There is no other way.